Hi, everybody. Welcome to MJ BizCon, Mita. I am here with Kyle Turley and
Shei.
Shih.
And Nam Tran.
Perfect. We are here to talk to you today about East Coast versus West Coast and how each can benefit itself and a lot of different things. Kyle, you want to go first and say a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do?
Sure. Grew up actually Southern California. A cannabis background is from, all the stuff growing up as a kid with all my friends being, the guys who supplied that it became some of the first license holders in Southern California. And then, subsequently life for me went back towards the South. And I am now in Tennessee, just south of Nashville.
Yes.
And I just opened a new shop down there, doing the same thing I do in California, but it cost me $30.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
Same thing, I assume?
Yeah, same thing. Go right ahead.
All right, well, Shei. I'm one of the owners of a company called My Green Network. We're an award-winning manufacturer in California this year. We won multiple awards at Emerald Cup, California State Fair, as well as CannaFest, first place in a lot of categories.
Awesome.
We also produce for some of the biggest brands in the industry, specifically in California. Interesting fact, I'm actually an East Coaster originally and moved out to California probably about 15, 20 years ago, 17 years? I don't know, a long time ago.
Somewhere between the 15 and 20.
And on the East Coast, similar experience. I was involved in cannabis in college. But eventually, I came out here, and one of the things that's really interesting is the big difference between how the West Coast has really opened up to cannabis versus the East Coast. So excited to be here, and there's a lot that I know the differences between the two that we could talk about, and I'll pass it on to Nam next.
My name is Nam Tran. I'm the co-founder of Goodfellas Group, Pennyworth Securities, and Network Show, and a few other businesses, all within the cannabis space within California. I'm also originated from the East Coast, but I consider myself a California boy because I'm 48 and I've been here since I was 9. So, pretty
There
much
you go.
used to California now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're just in Orange County, Southern California. We do a lot of co-packing for a lot of brands. So we distribute for about 450 farms. Brands come to us, source their cannabis material. They'll come to our other unit, which then helps them source their packaging and compliancy and design work and stuff. And then we have our third unit, which is all the finished goods. We'll make that stuff come to life, piece it together.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. Okay. So, also, did you guys know that Kyle played football?
Him? No way.
He's a little small, right?
Yeah.
He's just tiny. Yeah, he was just, just in the background. Just tiny little him. What trends are you seeing from the East Coast moving to the West Coast or vice versa?
I guess more in what I'm seeing is the trend into understanding, the difference between marijuana and hemp, and that it's really stupid. So the people on the East Coast have, as was mentioned, haven't had the opportunity that the people on the West Coast have enjoyed by the progress in the cannabis space. The licensing and the progression of cannabis started in California, right, or Colorado. First 420 of legal. I was there. I was at the deal in Denver when the gunshots went off and everybody scattered. And it was crazy. Those are those days, right, where they're still trying to scare everybody about it. And then into Southern California where, just had to speak at every city council and yell at everybody for, an entire year before anything even happened, right? Mm-hmm. And they finally gave in to some people being able to have licensing. Things were real good in Prop 215 in California, and that exposed a lot of things, I believe, because a lot of people came from from the East Coast under those conditions, right? Prop 215, anybody
Right.
could open up a shop, right? You had a collective, got in, you're able to start operating and make those networks in the industry that you then can take into licensed world. When they started hand those out, everybody that was already working in Prop 215 space was able to then. And so I think a lot of people from the East Coast went and they started, Massachusetts went, right? Massachusetts was really the next California for the East Coast, right?
Yes.
That's what set it off for the East Coast was Massachusetts just went, boom, we're going to do this, right? And so, but all of those other operators in these other states had to operate under hemp status, operate, in the CBD space, which I did for 10 years. And so having that experience of going around all the trade shows in CBD space, then and being involved in the marijuana industries in California and getting in and, from financial assistance to being able to, become involved in licensing in California, that was important to me. And so owning, businesses there with shops and manufacturing and making products for all these people, exposed me to the process of it. And then now back in Tennessee, where I'm at, understanding what the East Coast has really done in navigating this stupidity on the difference between marijuana and hemp, which there is none. Everything is hemp. It was hemp. It will be hemp. Hemp for victory. That's what the mantra was. Jack Herrera is, the guy who exposed this in The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And so understanding that and that federal legalization has actually occurred and that Rand Paul's going to even make it even bigger and better with upping the D9 to 1%.
1%, that's right.
Makes every strain in marijuana grown to full potential hemp compliant. So, the difference between knowing how to cowboy things from those Prop 215 days to then back to that, that it's been real interesting to see the difference between East Coast benefiting the West Coast by all these East Coast operators had to navigate through all of that being, without.
Right.
While weight's still moving back east,
Yeah.
We got to support the farmers, right?
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. And now that's why Gavin Newsom did what he did, because the black market disappeared for him because everybody realized, oh my God, I could just put hemp license on this. I'm not a criminal anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
Absolutely does.
Yeah. Here.
Answer some and then more.
No,
I love it. Thank you so much. What trends do you see? You.
James.
James, I know your name. I know. You.
Thank you.
You.
I played football
He played football. You're you.
with James.
Good fellas.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. At least I get a one-syllable word.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think I want to speak a little bit more on something that is quite interesting. When I say trends in the market is I actually have a lot of friends from the East Coast still. Jersey is where I originally grew up in. And on the West Coast, since I came out here, there's just so much more opportunity, as Kyle mentioned. There's so much more development and culture here for cannabis that there ever was on the East Coast. I just remember on the East Coast, one of the first people to say is like, yo, we got Cali weed. I'm gonna charge you 4 times more than everyone else.
Yes.
And it's really interesting because now we're in a stage where the East Coast is in that same space where they're catching up, I think, to the West Coast. It's a long process. We actually also have some partners out on the East Coast in Jersey that are opening up a cultivation facility.
Okay.
And there's that same sort of battle where you have to figure out how do you get into the licensed market, and it's aggressive.
Right.
They made them do like multiple things that are just insane. And
Yeah. The hoops.
like it's aggressive.
And the new hoops that they come out with just for fun.
And just for fun.
Just for fun.
But I think where we're going on the East Coast and what they're trying to do is they're still in a stage of development they're still using distillate. They're still starting to get into live resin. But when you talk about stuff like solventless manufacturing, live rosin, high-end products where people are actually starting to say, wait, what am I putting into my body?
Yes.
That's a trend where we're seeing California becoming very awakened to that.
Mm-hmm.
But now everybody across the entire country is also starting to say, wait, do I really want to keep putting like an ethanol-based product in my body
Exactly.
or butane-based? One of the things that we obviously work on a lot is solventless. We also do a lot of gummies. And that's where we actually see these different trends coming from the East Coast. Right now, I have friends on there and they're like, my gosh, I have this distillate vape and it tastes exactly like a grape because they put in grape flavor.
Right.
And I'm like, that is not great for you, to be honest.
Yeah, that can't be good.
So I think that's where I see one big trend. The solventless one, the East Coast can really learn from developing higher end products and then also just following good business practices where on the West Coast we had like the Wild West for a really long time.
Right.
But now we're in a stage where the ones who are still alive and the ones who are doing well are the ones who are being compliant and the ones that are actually like focusing on good quality versus just spitting out any product.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I like to see the sweep of the education of
Correct.
cannabis, and that it's not just, oh my gosh, it's legal now, we can just go get high. Because for many of us, myself included, we actually do use it for medicine. So it's nice to see that the stigma is going away little by little, and that the education of what you need to put into your body for the medicine is growing. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Mr. Tran,
Yes.
what trends are you seeing?
I think a trend that I see that maybe East Coast brands can learn from like the West Coast guys that have been doing it for a while now is really have an IP, not just go out there and just produce any joint or just think it's weed's going to be weed. It's going to sell itself. You really have to be a brand. You really have to develop, say, your vape pen, your formulations, your flavor profiles. If you're a flower guy, you have to build consistency with your suppliers. So you have the same product on the shelf over and over and over. That's how you build customer loyalty, and consistency is very important. I think you're starting to see that with California brands, at least, is they're very, very focused on having something that's unique to them.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. And I love each one of you said something different, but I love how they all correlate with each other and intertwine, no matter how you slice it. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, weed's not weed anymore. So
Right.
what we all said in common is basically you have to be a brand today. So
You do.
you have to be a brand.
You have to be a brand. You have to stand behind your brand.
Yeah, you got to have values with your brand. You got to stand behind it. You got to develop product that speaks that on
Yes.
behalf of what your brand stands for, and it really comes down to that. So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
You have any?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that now in keep on it, but in the hemp space, right? It's all cannabis, and in shops in like Houston, Texas, they're doing $100,000 a day in sales, and it's the shops that have branded product it's not a choice of which brand it is. They've already branded it, they've already packaged it perfectly, and they're putting fire in their packs. They're developing this reputation that this is where you get in California. You see some of the best shops that are producing that out in Paris, California, where I'm from in Moreno Valley. One of the best producing shops, I think, probably arguably for the beginning of the California dispensaries is a place called Strains, and they have a full cultivation, of their own. It's a family-owned business, and they have everything up in Adelanto, and so they stock their shops. Occasionally, a brand will get in their shop, but the majority of their strains, you go in their shop, and it is their strains, and it's their weed,
Right.
And people have come to become their fans. That's their fan base because they know they're delivering every week, and people can get that medicine.
Yeah.
It's truly important.
Absolutely.
To a lot of people.
Yes. Mr.
That
James. Mr. James, do you have any follow-up?
Are you sure you got the name right?
Mr. James.
Not too much, to be honest. I think that it's funny you say strains because we actually also produce for them.
Yeah.
And I think that may be like another trend as the market consolidates in California. And I think the East Coast will eventually get to this point too.
Okay.
Is there is going to be consolidation of brands. Like there are a lot of people that try to make a product, they don't stand behind it. And that goes to the entire branding thing that, Nam was talking about and everybody was talking about.
Yes.
Eventually, those people will drop off. And then they'll need to find a way to actually create good products in order to stand and compete with everyone else.
I agree with you.
So I would say for sure, contract manufacturing is definitely important. Getting your own IP, getting a product that makes a difference, and making sure that your brand does stand out with working with good people. Because honestly, everyone wants to go vertically integrated and do everything, but every single component is a lot of work.
That's a lot to ask.
I agree
That's a
with you.
lot.
It really is a lot to ask.
So finding great partners that can do that for you, whether
Right.
it's another state, whether it's in your own state,
It's so crucial.
so crucial.
So crucial.
So here we go, Nam. Mr. Tran.
Mr. Tran.
I mean, I see another trend too is like James was talking, it's kind of hard to take on everything.
Right.
And you're starting to see like the distribution side, my side, is separated into two. One that does the bulk and the wholesale and maybe piece together the CPG. And then there's the last mile distributors that takes it to, does the fulfillment to the retail that has maybe a sales team, but they're separating, right? There's very few that do both.
Right.
It's very difficult. It's a lot to ask from this segment, at least.
Yes. Do you think that it could get easier?
Yeah, I think as we start to separate and say if a brand from the East Coast wanted to come to California, my suggestion would be for them to like find a manufacturer, a distributor that can source all your cannabis material, help produce your finished goods,
Okay.
ready for retail, and then go find a legitimate last mile distributor like a Navis or an LBX or a Rupli or somebody of that sort that can do the warehousing, the fulfillment, and handle the retail side. Because I don't see any that does both, to be honest.
Right.
No. Yeah. Oh.
Go ahead.
No, they don't. No, and you want to work with those guys, you know. Greg over at Rukli,
Yeah.
you know, the good people at Navis and what they've done for so many brands. You know, you do what you do best, come up with your idea and concept, and then you do what they let them do what they do best. And that's, you know, I think the better way to go is to network with people in this industry. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's the finished product, but then there's also the network of people that you can create within this, you know, place right here.
Absolutely.
You know, that can help you continue going down that road, right?
Yes.
And achieving all these different things that you want to accomplish in cannabis, right?
Yes.
But that goes with anything else. But you let people do the, you know, I mean, I want to do delivery for my business, but I know the Hyperwolf guys. Like, let me get. I don't know what I'm doing with that. Like, you guys,
Right.
this is your specialty. I know the, you know, the ease guys. Like, hey, come on, like, give me the goods. Like, what it is you guys do, and can you give me somebody that I can work with that knows how to do this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I am still on the notion of you got it. That we're all in this together and that we can all help each other out, and it just I don't know why that's such a difficult concept to grasp still to people, but yeah, I completely agree with you. Any last statements?
I don't know.
Start first.
I guess I'll mirror the same thing. I think one of the key parts, like everyone's been saying, is finding those partners,
Right.
but also vetting them properly. And
That is a very, very big, strong point. Thank you for saying that.
And I do think that's like a thing that a lot of people overlook. They say, oh my gosh, they get sold on this concept that somebody can do this thing for them. But have you checked their bottom line? Have you checked their COGS?
Yes.
Does this actually make sense for you from a financial standpoint? The way that we do business is very different. Like, we don't just say, we'll do everything. We'll say, does this deal make sense for us and for you?
Absolutely.
If you cannot make money from this deal, we won't work with you because it's fine. We'll both go a different way.
Right.
But it's because we want you to succeed. When we have partners that succeed, we can actually then create more business with that. It's why we're partnered with 5 of the top 10 brands in the state of California.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them, you know, we'll work with like Bud Technology. We work with Goodfellas too. They're fantastic as well.
We're neighbors.
Not yet with
That's
Revenant,
awesome.
but we will soon, I'm assuming. After this.
Revenant and power plant.
They might make all of their pre-rolls.
You might make them all, and that's part of the whole point. Like, and the other thing is we're hyper focused on what we're good at. So we only focus on like gummies and solventless, and that's it. I know we have a limited time, so Nam,
Yes.
here you go.
Yeah, I would say just build an ecosystem, right? There's a lot of good people in this industry. Find the people that you get along with, that you care about, and that care about you, and work with each other. Help build each other up, right? It's strength
Yes.
in numbers, and work with the people that you like and you care for, and that also
Absolutely.
reciprocate that, right? So
I look forward to working with you guys after this as well.
There we go.
I just would like to end with that everybody in here needs to understand that the Hemp Act is going to legalize marijuana federally, and that everyone needs to get with Chase Bank right now and set up a hemp bank account under their alternative banking division, that you can get an executive account right now and form your LLC so that y'all can be ready to participate. Whoever else is fucking listening, okay? I don't know if I can cuss or not, but if y'all understand what's about to happen, support the hemp industry, because we're right at the door, and that's what this was all about, right?
Absolutely.
And people need to, understand what's really happening right now and how they can break free from this ridiculous matrix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your time today. This is absolutely amazing. I look forward to working with all of you in the future.
Absolutely.
And continue to work with this gentleman right here. So we'll all be one big happy family. It'll be fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.